How's it going, beautiful people? I'm just gonna grab some water real quick and then we'll get going. If anyone comes in and they're wondering why they don't hear anything, just let them know I'll be right back. How's it going, everyone? Let me know if you guys could hear me. Got about 150 people. I'll wait till we get about 200 or so. Try to get to 500, 600 tonight. Breathe deep. Go grab yourself some water. Stay hydrated. Awesome. I don't smoke weed. I don't need to smoke. I'm high on my own supply. Let a couple more people in. What's up, Dustin? Mr. Jansen. Happy to be Judith. Much love to everyone from Holland. Netherlands in the house. Ramaya. Appreciate you guys getting the YouTube membership. Much love. Larry David, Damien, Brooke, Mackenzie. Much love to Romania. That's amazing. Beautiful. We got about 200. You guys could also go ahead, if you have whatever social platform you have, if you want to share this live stream out with people who are on our level, go ahead. We're just hanging out tonight. Another Friday in the Matrix. Chiapas, Mexico. Beautiful. Dominique, welcome. Bobby Hex, appreciate you showing up. D-Vortex, thank you for showing up. Appreciate you. Medina, I appreciate that. Sending you lots of love. Cordy G, appreciate you spreading the love. Crypto Angie, it's beautiful. Good energy here tonight. Miami Marlin, appreciate you. Crypto Gambino, appreciate you. Sending you lots of love. Mr. Jansen says, let's talk about some Phoenix events. Year cycle. How did you guys enjoy that collaboration that me and Archaics did? It's been about a week or so now since that's been up on his channel. Thought it was fun to be able to do a podcast with him and have these two worlds collide. I have a really crazy deco coming out soon about the Phoenix event. Just my own take on it and a couple of wild things that I found in the past that are kind of showing us a little bit of predictive programming of what's to come. And I'm sure by now a lot of you guys are aware that all this Hollywood movie stuff and all the big Grammy award winning artists, they're all just giving you the truth in their music and their music videos and their movies, especially music videos. If you watch a music video from Madonna, for instance, she's giving you so much truth. It's amazing. And you don't even have to listen to the songs. Like, you could just watch these music videos with the video on mute. David Bowie is another great example. Like, all of those music videos, and for him, the lyrics especially. But there's a really epic Michael Jackson album cover that we were talking about a couple of maybe like 6 months ago. Actually, it was quite a while ago, but epic Michael Jackson album cover. And it has all these really odd gems within it. And if you're somebody who's aware of, how to decode or kind of looking a little bit deeper into the stuff that you see, that's one of those album covers that it's just packed with stuff. I'm just letting some more people come in. Got started about 5 minutes ago or so. So if you're new, welcome. Appreciate you showing up. I'm just going to let some more people show up. I got a super chat from Scott Bryce. Sending you lots of love, Scott. I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting my work, man. He says, much love from Atlanta, Georgia in the house. He says, best place or brand to get Sheilagy. Also tablets or paste. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks for all you do. So when it comes to Sheilagy, all I would recommend is try to get the resin. If you could get the resin, that's probably the best quality that you could find. When it's powderized, it's just more processed. But the way that it's found in nature is a resin. So I would recommend that. And there are companies out there that you could find the resin. It's hard to recommend brands though, because they all make their own claims. They all say they're 100% pure. They all say this and that, Like, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're getting something that's become actually quite popular, like over the last 5 years, a lot more people are interested in Sheilagy. And I heard one person say something about, and it was no one on the internet or anything. It was actually somebody within our group on Discord. And also shout out to the Mastermind community over on Patreon. I appreciate every single one of you. Much love. Somebody brought up something about Sheilagy and how they're only seeking it for the fulvic acid. And you got to remember, Mother Nature doesn't isolate anything. Okay? Mother Nature doesn't work that way. Everything is within everything. Everything is infinite consciousness. It's science that likes to take stuff and isolate it. So never go out of your way to get a supplement or something because it's been isolated. That's not the way to go. When you're looking to get something that's natural, you have to expect it to have a plethora of, yeah. So anyways, my point being with this is that if you're just getting into Shilajit because you learned about fulvic acid, be a little bit more open-minded to what's going on here. You never want to seek out some isolated thing. The soil doesn't have any isolated mineral content in it. It's a plethora of minerality. And within that minerality, sure, there's instruments out there that could determine the amount of minerality and the breakdown of it. But that's just science. That's getting the mind to be caught up in the mind. Mother Nature doesn't work that way. But when it comes to Shilajit, I would just go out of your way to find a company that has resin. The powderized version is okay, but it's more processed. The resin is best. The issue with the resin is it's a lot more annoying to handle. It's just a lot more annoying to dose out. So most people, when they want to have a convenient form of Shilajit, they'll just go out of their way to get either a more liquid style version, or they'll go out of their way to get a powderized version. With the powderized version, if you get the slightest drop of water on the scoop or inside of the jar of the powderized Shilajit, it will start to naturally become a resin anyways. So some people, what they'll do, and I know this is like extra credit information, but I really appreciate your super chat, Scott, sending you a lot of love. But you could actually just buy the powder, and then you could turn it into, like, you could add a little bit of water to it, mix it up, decant it, and put it in another jar, like a larger jar. And then you could do that way. And then like you just dissolve it in water again. People will drink like a shot glass of water that the Shilajit has been diluted in. It kind of tastes like pencil shavings. Like the way it's, if you remember, I mean, it's been a while, but damn, like I remember when I was in school and you're like sharpening a pencil and it smells like that graphite kind of vibe. It's not the most pleasing thing to be drinking. And also one other thing, and I'll break this down more in my expansion mastermind that's coming out in a couple months, or hopefully a couple months. I'm really working hard to get that ready. But when it comes to anything that you're adding as a form of supplementation, which I don't recommend supplements, by the way, I believe Mother Nature is perfect, and the closer to source you get and the more optimal you become with fasting and practicing dry fasting especially, you're not going to need to supplement because supplementation is nonsense. Again, Mother Nature never designed anything to be isolated. So if you feel like you're imperfect and you think you're going to solve that problem by getting, boron in your diet, that's not how this world works. You actually have to detoxify the system and move out a lot of the blockages and a lot of what is keeping the digestive system clogged up, because you haven't been treating your body like a water system. If you don't treat your body like a water system for extended periods of time, you're going to actually harm your digestive system quite in ways that is really, really personal, because some people have different reactions to specific types of, lifestyles. Some people eat really shitty food, but they work out a lot, so they have a different reaction to that poor food. Some people, they consume too much of one type of improper food, and then they start to get brittle nails, or their hair starts to turn gray when they're too young. They start to have bone issues. So everything I'm saying right now, you need to understand that it's not for the individual, it's just holistic. But when people start to include some form of supplementation, whether that be something like Shilajit or boron or magnesium or whatever, you need to take it slow. So that's the big word of wisdom behind any change that you make for the body, for the vessel. This vessel, you've probably been treating it one way for 30 years, maybe 40 years, maybe 50 years. And if you want to go extreme and just change everything up, go from eating a standard American diet or vegetarian or omnivore, carnivore, whatever the fuck, nonsense title that people like to stick with. And yeah, it'll have to be spicy if we need to talk about this, but I know Scott gets it. If you decide to get caught up in a specific form of consumption, and you do this for decades, and then you decide to just change up everything and go a completely opposite direction with no transition phase, you're probably going to harm the vessel more than you are trying in your attempt to help it. So that's going to be the big kind of motivation behind the Expansion Mastermind on the part that talks about heal thyself. So that'll be the name of that chapter. Heal thyself. Okay, I'm going to move on to some other questions. Again, I appreciate all you guys. Susie Gemini, much love. I appreciate you. Also, this is really nice that I was able to make this happen today because about an hour and a half ago, I had no power. I had no electricity, no internet access for the last about 4 hours or so. So this ended up working out nicely. Bry162, I appreciate you coming here from Crypto Coffee. Shout out to Crypto Coffee for that interview that me and him did together. That was awesome. Definitely looking forward to a round 2. I know a lot of people in his community, a lot of his followers have come over to my channel since we did that collaboration, and it's been really nice. It's been nice to see people be open-minded to Gematria and numerology and astrology applications to the crypto market, and also just in general, like as my work gets bigger and as I expand into collaborating with more peoples, I would love to show, Gematria applications in other forms. But more importantly, I think my role here is to just get people to remember who they are. That's the biggest takeaway. And that's what these Friday live streams are all about. This moment in time is so special because people believe that they're becoming enlightened or illumined or waking up, but you were never asleep. I'm just the guy that's knocking on your forehead telling you that you were never asleep. You were just suffering from amnesia. And here you are. You remember. Remember thyself. And then self as the identity becomes irrelevant. The identity self is something that we were taught. When we were a child, we were pure light consciousness, and then we got spellcasted into this belief of the physical realm, of this simulacrum. We were given identity, and we believed in identity. And through that identity, we left that inner child on the sidelines. And now as we're remembering and we're wiping away this amnesia, that inner child is waking back up again, and it's going, I've been waiting for you to stop being so egoic. I've been waiting for you to remember me. I've been waiting for you to stop thinking so much about yesterday and getting so addicted to tomorrow. To be present, to be here in this moment. That inner child is being remembered more and more and more each day. All of us feel this energy. And as we come together during a time like this, we're seeing that this energy is building from one vessel to the next. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Just to see 400 people here hanging out with us. And this is just the beginning. A year from today, we're going to be having 1,000 people tuning in. 2 years from today, it'll be more. Because it'll be more and more are gravitating towards these truths, which is this idea that we've been spellcasted into believing, which is to live a life that is fear-based and that is identity-based and that is so caught up in time. We're going to become disinterested in that way of life, as most of you probably are. That inner child within you is no longer hiding. Once you remember it, it's never going away. And then as the days progress, you become less identity-based. You become more timeless and your light shines brighter. It doesn't even matter how dark the world around you is. That is irrelevant. The world around you is just this external trap that so many people believe in so much that they let that fear cast over them and become this dark cloud. You get to choose to have those clouds part in the sky and let that sun shine through. You get to make that choice. And finally, here we are where we're cultivating community of people that are in sync and in harmony with this way of remembering. It's amazing to see a couple people from Romania in here. That's amazing. Inna, I appreciate you. Sending you lots of love. I'm just looking at some people's comments real quick. Celeste, so lovely to be here with you all. Thanks, Jordan, for all that you share. Love from Cape Town. Is that South Africa? Amazing. What is South Africa like? I have one person in my life that I personally have met and spoken to regarding South Africa, but I have no idea of what's going on there. I wonder how the last 2 to 3 years has been with this whole pandemic, and I know that there's a lot of interesting political things going on over there, but I don't personally have any experience. Only know a couple of people that have purchased my course from South Africa. Okay, great. I'm seeing some people write Michael Jackson's Dangerous. That was the album that we were just talking about. I'm typing with one hand, sorry. Try my best here. Oh man. Yeah, this album cover is ridiculous looking. Oh my God. Got the monkey up here in the pineal position, holding or wearing the crown. Oh man, we could have so much fun with this. Oh, the nose is the peacock. Over here we have ball earth, but it's upside down. Look at this kid with this interesting skull, and it's in the palm of a hand of, would that be some sort of stringed instrument player, like a violinist? Oh, this is the best part too. Okay, so you see over here at the bottom left, there's a monkey, and the monkey is going in, and this has the pirate skull and crossbones. Perhaps that's referencing to Skull and Bones, but just in general. This monkey is going in. Oh man, and you could see right there the Hamza and then the sun. And it's coming out the other side as Michael Jackson as a child, and it has a peace sign over here. There's so much symbolism. But up here you got the all-seeing eye. We got the dog, and this is I believe that might be a hummingbird. Got the 2 elephants. It has this 2 pillars theme too, this like Yakin and Boaz with the constellation and the ball earth on each side. I wonder when this album came out. Let me look that up in a moment. We got Venus over here. You could see her in the seashell. So we got Venus. there's so much to look at. So it's like, it's like, where do you almost have to do it piece by piece, you know? Over here, you have the divine masculine, divine feminine. This is being broken up into two sections of animals. You have, oh, look at that huge bumblebee. That says a lot because that's all about the hive mind. The subconscious. But I love this where the monkey has the crown being put on top of his head by these two cherub, two angels. Got the clown faces over here. Oh my God. Okay, let's look up when this album came out. Also, got 450 people up in here. I appreciate you guys. Sending you lots of love. Okay, it came out in 1991, which 1991 was the palindrome year. 19 and then 91 reverse. Let's type in this date and see what we get. November 26th. I wasn't anticipating doing any decoding stuff on this, but let's just have fun. Oh yeah, of course. So it's the 330th day of the year. One moment. Just want to double check. It was released November 26, 1991. November 26, beautiful. Yeah, so this was the 330th day of the year, which is the 33. And then on the on the 30 date numerology, again tied to the threes. We know Michael is part of the club. But he also revealed a lot about the club in his art. So they didn't like him too much because he was doing a lot of... Also, that guy that you see that's like all like super white and has all of the what is it called? Plastic surgery. That's not Michael Jackson. That's a double. Michael Jackson was burned really badly in a fire. So the guy that you see that just became perpetually white, this was a genetically mutated clone of the original, a bad copy. And the bad copy, they were doing a bunch of bullshit with. They shared a consciousness, though. And this is very easy to do. It's called consciousness transferring, and they do this in deep underground military bases. This album cover is insane. Everyone should decode this. This is this is mind-blowing to look at. But yeah, released on the 330th day of the year. I mean, what more can you say? Let's see what we're getting with the word dangerous. Oh, look at the album length. 77. And was this in a Shemitah year? Let me just quickly calculate that. I don't want to think too hard while I'm... No, it wasn't. Leading up to one. Got that 36. The 3 6s. The 666 carbon. All right. Moving on from this, but really interesting. I just wanted to show you guys that album cover because some of you were probably like, what was Jordan talking about earlier? But yeah. I actually haven't even listened to much of Michael Jackson's music either. There's probably so many gems that are hidden. Haramau Player says, oh, I appreciate your super chat. Thank you. Says, what was this 2005 Katrina ritual all about? Let's look it up. Appreciate your super chat, by the way. I really appreciate you supporting my work. Don't you love how they're naming hurricanes? Like, has anyone ever thought about that? How they just name the hurricane? Come on, man. So I urge everyone, whenever you get a chance, some of you may be aware of Doppler radar, but then also go look up HAARP, HAARP. It stands for High Active Auroral Research Program. It's fascinating. I learned about this a while ago, and the website would always go down. So there, as a legal military kind of like division between the public, they had to have a .gov website which operated, and allowed people in the public to go look up this data readout. So it was an analytic that came from the antenna fields, and they were shooting up a specific high frequency wave at the ionosphere, at the layer of the magnetosphere, and so it was really interesting because whenever we would have events like this or Fukushima or any of that kind of stuff, you would get people's camera phones taking videos of what the sky looked like before the event would occur, and it almost looked like the Northern Lights. So you would have this effect of the HAARP website, HAARP, their website would go down. It would stop giving the public the analytical data readout. And then the sky would look like Northern Lights, like in the middle of the daytime in a place like Indonesia or Japan or, yeah, right? And then there would be this big catastrophic weather manipulative event. So yeah, they're shooting up this high frequency wave at a very high magnitude into the inner Earth's atmosphere. It's really fascinating stuff. But let's look up this date, August 23rd, 2005. You got that 56 date numerology. Yeah, this is pretty big. Whenever I see this 74, that's a big takeaway because that has a lot to do with duality. I've been noticing in a lot of my past decodes. I probably shared this in my last video, actually, when I was showing everyone. So again, Katrina giving you that 74 in the English ordinal, and then you have Jesus giving you the 74. Then you have Lucifer giving you the 74. Pretty interesting stuff. That number 74, and I was tying it all back to the hexagon and hive mind. So you got hexagon with that 74. That's the hexagon of Saturn, and that duality complex between the Jesus and Lucifer character. By the way, most of you are probably aware by now that Jesus is a picture of Caesar Borgia, the son of a pope. The Bible is written by the Vatican. It was first called the Codex Vaticanus. You could go look that up yourself. Everything about that book is 100% controlled by the Vatican, which is tied to the Jesuit order. They call themselves the Soldiers of God, or God's Soldiers. And we're not about to go down this rabbit hole because I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this already, but look, they call themselves God's Marines. Yep, thou shalt not kill, but let's go fight the battle for God. Crazy shit, man. Anyways, so there's a little about the Jesus character if you're unaware. Welcome to this Friday live stream. Your pineal gland is probably slowly softening up. But Katrina giving me that 74, that I'm sure you guys could also find a bunch of 74 connections. And let's compare this to something like 9/11. Let's just have fun with that. Oh, almost got the exactly 144. So you got the 1,442 days since 9/11. That would have been hilarious if it was exactly on the nose. Oh, wait, but doesn't it dissipate 2 days later, right? Let me go back really quickly. Oh no, the 31st. Super interesting. It lasted about 8 days. But what I remember that was really hilarious was when Kanye West was like, George Bush doesn't like, that was so funny. Oop, let me try to. Sorry about that. Somebody asked me, what's my opinion on Kratom? I will just quickly say, I don't personally have any experience with it, but I did give a little bit of a rant on this maybe a couple months back, where I've spoken to people that do it, that are into taking it, and it's just a crutch. It's another thing for people to use as a crutch. And we've already spoken about crutches and how people use them. And I actually have a whole section coming for my expansion mastermind that I'm working on right now, where it's called the routine, and root is spelled ROOT, like the roots of a tree. And it's going to be like a big slap in the face to the idea of what routines are, and how a lot of routines are essentially just crutches. And we develop these practices of being so structured, and in that structuring, we develop a connection with whatever it is we're doing, whether that be an activity or a type of supplement or an exercise protocol or people or anything you want to list. And we don't live in the now. We're always just kind of doing everything as a means to an end. And in that type of behavior, I don't see there being too much bliss or neutrality. It's just about, I have a headache, so I'm going to take an Advil now. Oh, I feel sad, so I'm going to take a CBD now. Oh, I feel this way, so I'm going to do... Nobody's ever figuring out how to take care of themselves with themselves, because they're doing everything by reaching out for some other external thing. And this does not solve problems, but it's definitely a solid business model. So we're going to talk a lot about that in the future for sure. And I mean, to structure it and to make it have utility, not just for me, off the cuff discussing these ideas in a live like we are right now. I'm also seeing a big fluctuation in people in the chat, so let me know if you guys can still hear me, and maybe we're keeping it good vibes tonight. It's all good. I believe my internet connection is good to go. My power here is good. But I am seeing a lot of dropout in the live. I don't know what the reason for that is. Could just be a glitch. Robert Evans, sending you a lot of love. I appreciate the the dancing pear. That's a really funny sticker. I appreciate you supporting my work, brother. Much love. Okay, 1 second. Let me just check in and see what's going on with the... Some people are saying 520. And I'm seeing 360, and I'm seeing it. Okay, as long as we're good, it doesn't matter how many people are watching, really. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't cut out and that I didn't lose you guys. That was really all I wanted to make sure of. So... Great. It sounds like people are still able to hear me. Somebody mentioned withdrawing from Kratom. Yep, that's how it goes. I've heard it before. People just need to figure out the basic concept of what healing actually is. Healing is only done by self. It's the same thing as wisdom. You cannot acquire wisdom. Okay? You don't find it somewhere. You don't get it from the external. Wisdom is realized. It's a realization. It's like enlightenment. Enlightenment isn't something you achieve. There's no goal. There's no purpose. You remember. You realize. It's a realization. Healing is something we all do at every minute of every second, every hour, all the time. What we do with our mind is we detach that ability from self and put it onto other external stuff. You've detached your ability to heal thyself and you've gifted it to the doctor. You've gifted it to the dentist. You've gifted it to the local healthcare, facility, to the Planned Parenthood, to the this, to the that, to the health food store that sells you supplements. Don't get into anything if it's just going to be a crutch, but experience it. Everything is here for you to experience. That's what this matrix is all about. You chose to be here to experience. But while you're experiencing, do it in the now. Be present while you experience. Because when you're present through this experience, what happens is you become able to utilize what it is you're getting out of it. That is wisdom. Focused action. To be able to listen to other people. When people are in conversation, I could just feel it in them sometimes, and you could feel it too, I bet. Pay attention to what I'm saying. When I talk with people, I keep my mouth closed and I allow my heart to listen to what they're saying. Not my ears, my heart. And what happens in this process is I don't have judgment over what they're saying. What happens when people are conversing most of the time is they're thinking of the next thing they want to say while the person is still talking. This is like grabbing a glass of water, and before the glass of water touches your lips, you're already thinking about putting the glass of water back down after you drank the water without even going through the action of drinking the water. When I drink water, I'm not thinking about putting the cup back down. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just going through the motion. But when I'm experiencing it, I'm allowing it to happen. My mind isn't traveling into all these other aspects. You see people eating food, and while they're eating food, they're looking at the internet, they're texting, they're doing all this shit. Multitasking is destroying everyone, by the way. I know this as fact. If you think that you're being more productive by watching a YouTube video, eating food, texting, looking at Instagram, and then fucking planning out the rest of your day, you're not living, you're existing. When you live, it's a moment when you're eating and you're there with your food. You actually are in gratitude for what you're consuming. There's this grace. Live in grace. When you're there in that moment, that's when it heals you. Everything can heal you if you allow it to. If you want things to hurt you or you want to be scared of things, it will hurt you. You will become fearful. But just start thinking a little bit more consciously about where your mind likes to travel while you're doing acts, when you're actually taking action. And you'll see a lot of this idea behind multitasking, it hasn't really benefited anyone. When you start taking focused action, that's when you could unlock wisdom. Because every moment you're doing it in grace, and in that grace, you could actually see the utility in all of the motions. Instead of thinking so much about the game, you're playing. And when you're playing, you're living. Somebody said, I wish every day will be Friday night. Imagine every day can be Friday night. Okay, we got about 400 or so people in here. If you're somebody who's shown up and you're wondering why we're talking about what we're doing or why we're doing what we're doing, maybe this is the wrong place. Do you ever drink water and you wonder why you're drinking the water? That's like wondering, how did I get here? Is the internet like a vacuum for your experience? Are you making choices, or is something pulling the strings? Are you the puppet? Somebody asked a question about clones and how would I know and any of that stuff. I don't need to, like that's not what this is about. Go do the research, figure that out. You'll learn a lot about that. Cloning facilities have been known about for ages, and that's what's so great about the work of people like Martin Liedtke and John Levi and a lot of the people that have been talking about the past reset. And when after this reset occurred, we started to see all these orphanages pop up. We have all these children with no parents around. We have these incubation presentations of baby incubators at the World's Fair. This is all really fascinating stuff that people could go learn about. They have lots of documentation of these moments in our time. So in order for babies to be made, a man and a female have to have sex. You all know that, right? Right. So for there to be an abundance of parentless children in our realm that are all around the same exact age, and there's no proof of where they came from, not off of boats, not off of, they weren't originally at the lands they were founded on. But when they start any excavation process that they've been doing over the last, let's call it 110, 130 years or so, during that time, they've started to find more and more and more clues as to what was going on under this earth. And there is way more extensive tunnel systems than there are streets above ground. There is more extensive underground in terms of it being completely mapped out and navigatable than there is above ground streets. Take the time. Spend some time researching on that stuff. It's fascinating. Somebody asked about how can military be involved in this and not spill the beans? Well, look at all the stuff that goes on with the CIA. And they're just the exoteric intelligence. Imagine the esoteric intelligence. Jeez. See, if you can name it, if you're aware of it, then it's not the real truth. It requires a lot of research in order to start finding these big, deep truths that a lot of people have a hard time accepting. But have you heard about the pilots that fly around and do the stratospheric aerosol injection? Some people like to call them chemtrails. That's not what I will call them. I call them stratospheric aerosol injection because that's what the military calls it. And German and Swiss scientists have come out and started to expose the amount of barium, aluminum, and strontium at really toxic levels. And pilots who were told to do this job don't even look into the back of the cargo. They're just put on the plane. They're instantaneously put into the cockpit area and they are told to fly, not ask questions. A lot of military is told to just shut up and do. They're not being given a briefing on all of the information regarding what they're doing. So, Dow Jean Pop, I appreciate you. Much love. Says twin eclipses, baby. Sending much love, Jordan, to you and everyone here. I appreciate you. I hope I'm saying your name right. Dow Jean Popma. Maybe you are from the Netherlands. But anyways, I appreciate you. Much love. CW from Africa, appreciate you. Cordy G says, I appreciate your super chat. Thank you so much. Says, hi, can you please talk more about the ego? Adversarial concepts never resonated with me, like ego is the enemy, but you've talked about cosmic egg or co-pilot. Yeah, of course. Okay, so this is good because we got about like 500 people, right? So I always started out with a beautiful quote. Everything popular is wrong. So when every guru, every spiritual teacher, everyone and their mother is saying that ego is bad, that's a sign to run away. Because any being that just quickly labels a very complex concept, at least in practice, like what ego is base level for those of you, it's just simply self-awareness. But when we start actually applying it to the human experience, it does become complicated and it becomes its own kind of definition in certain scenarios. So with that being said, I had how would I put this? Some sort of epiphany. And the epiphany came from me thinking about what belief is and how belief in and of itself has this ability to materialize things and to turn something into something without any proof. A group think can develop a truth based off of belief, with morals not being counted for, with the lowest levels of consciousness in application. I was actually recently just watching a quick documentary on the Church of Latter-day Saints, the fundamental Church of Latter-day Saints, ran by the last two psychopaths, the Jeffs family. And we could talk about that more later, but what happens here is in belief, you could develop an egoic field, and in this egoic field, nothing could possibly be immoral. Anything you do can be accepted and practiced because enough people believe in it. So when I started to look at what the belief was behind ego, and I was studying just basic ancient Egyptian concepts like the Ba and the Ka energy, and how the Ka and the Ba energy get united by Aku, and Aku becomes ego. And that is the self-awareness. So when we become self-aware, it's when we revisit the Genesis story, and it's when we take the bite of the tree of knowledge to know as God knows, to have the awareness. And with that awareness, now you have to actually curb your ego. You actually have to keep your ego in check. So that's all this experience is. Ego isn't the enemy if you're aware of what ego is and how you just need to keep that guy in check. So like I said in the last one, I was really, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he said that ego is like the co-pilot who wants to be the pilot. And it made me laugh, and I thought it was such a mind-blowing, simple way of putting it. But it really solidified a concept for me, which is that your higher self is within, right? Your higher self is within. You're not finding your higher self. Your higher self isn't coming around the woods and meeting up with you one day because you did something good in life or you accomplished something. No, you remember you are higher self. And the chapters of ego, the chapters in the book of ego are necessary. You must have this full spectrum of self-awareness in order to finally realize the power that could be within something that in the spiritualism talk has been telling you is bad. Why do you think gurus tell people that ego is bad? It's because they want to clean their slate of the people who follow them so they could impregnate their minds with their group think, with their belief system. And if you have no ego, then you have no force field. You need to allow your Merkaba to be a force field. Ego is required here in Dojo Earth. When you are in this physical body, ego is a necessity. It is not the enemy. Now, we don't want it to become inflated. We don't want it to become something that consumes us like anything in life. But it can never all just be one thing. And we do this quite often. When a tiger eats a hyena, we just call that a meal. But when a person was to shoot another person, we would call that a murder. We as humans exist in the definitions and the ideas of human consciousness. Everything is categorized in that regard. When you apply it to the animal kingdom, when you apply it to something that's much more pure and in the subconscious, you start to see it in a different light. You actually get to look at another dimension of it. And then you could apply that dimension to self and you could start to look at it through that lens. So what we talked about in that one video that I made a while ago about the Ka and the Ba energy and the unity with Aku, and this Aku being the echo and the echo or the self-awareness of the feedback loop of what you are and how you project out into everything that surrounds you. This awareness that you are the pilot flying the plane and you're the gas in I don't even think planes have any gasoline, but anyways, you are the energy source that keeps that plane in momentum. The plane is just a plane. You could apply the positions and the titles to everyone who's on that plane if you would like. And a lot of psychologists like to do this. They like to make it into a game. But belief is a technology. And in that technology of belief, we're able to actually do really horrendous things, really heinous things to each other in the name of whatever groupthink that we've allowed to control us. And if those individuals that were getting brainwashed actually had ego and weren't looking at it in the way that they were being told to believe it as, they would have never been taken advantage of the way they were. And I don't even look at it like they were taken advantage of. They allowed it. They allowed to keep their egoic force field turned off. That's not listening or experiencing from the heart. That's all in the mind. The heart or intuition knows all. It knows where you need to be, and it keeps you on time. It keeps you in perfect perpetual motion with what's necessary to facilitate this very moment, which is what we call purpose. I got a super chat from Magic Crypto Millions. I appreciate you, brother. Much love. He said, Jordan, since you missed my last super chat, oh, I'm really sorry. I definitely didn't mean to miss your super chat. Says, I'm aiming to connect the world's best decoders on July 7th at 7 p.m. Clubhouse. Are you interested in joining the discussion? Can you get back to me and I could try to look if I could get that in my schedule? Tell me more of the details and I'll let you know if I'm available that day at that time. And also, I don't really know what Clubhouse is. Is that like some kind of... Teach me about it like I'm a 4-year-old. I'm just joking, but I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. And go check out Magic Crypto Millions YouTube channel. Go spread the love. I appreciate you, brother. Susie says, my cat likes your voice, Jordan. Yes, so what I said before about Kratom, I prefaced what I said with, I don't have any experience with it. I have no desire to have any experience with it. I'm a magician, just like this thumbnail that I decided to use. But I have a lot of experience with people who I've worked with, clients of mine who do actually use Kratom, and who I've even known somebody who owns a business selling it. And he has told me that his clients are essentially like crackheads. They need it every week. And if they don't have it after a certain period of time, they start going through withdrawals. So if that sounds like fun to you, have fun. But here, WatersAbove Wolfpack, we're not really interested in just replacing some other bullshit with some more bullshit. Like, we're here to unlock the mind. Unlock the mind to be accessing the heart. When we've accessed the heart, we start to unlock an immense amount of power from within. And that's the moment where we start to notice all these crutches that surround us. But I know when you say something about something someone else does, they take personal, like offense to this. And that's not what this place is about. This isn't for soft people. Like, we're here, we're speaking the language of light. And light is bright. And if it blinds your eyes, put that blindfold on and we'll see you later. The water can purify you. The water can drown you. Take it as you wish. But this is a space for spice. For habanero level truth. Michael Tukar, I appreciate your super chat. Thank you so much. I hope I said your name properly. That's a really generous of you. I appreciate you. He says, keep speaking truth, brother. Everyone needs to hear it. Wholeness and balanced vibrations for all. I appreciate that. I appreciate the gratitude. Sending you a lot of love. Yeah, we got about 400 people in here. Kara mentioned something about routines and how it's not her thing. Says, guess I can take trying to get into a routine off my to-do list. So Kara, it's like anything in life. Sometimes we need to have a foundation. That's why it's called a routine. A root, like the roots of a tree. Sometimes we need a little bit of foundation in order to be optimal. So that's why in the Expansion Mastermind, when I talk about the routine, I'm going to do it in a way that we haven't really spoken about it in, it'll be an esoteric journey into what a routine is and how we can use them to be a little bit more flexible, but not make them into this crutch. because this happens with people all the time where they say, coffee is part of my routine, and then coffee becomes this necessity in their life, and they cannot be optimal until they've had a cup of coffee in the morning. That is when it becomes unbalanced. And then people who are unaware of this, they just go out of their way and say, well, coffee is bad, coffee is this, coffee is that. No, this individual's relationship with coffee was unbalanced. It's just a plant. It's your relationship with the plant, like what somebody brought up before about kratom. I'm aware. If you're able to personally experience it and not have it control you, then great. It just doesn't seem to be the case for most. You know, there are people out there that are extremely strong-willed where they could do heroin one time and then never touch it again. But it's that thirst for an existence and the lack of a desire to live. When you desire to live and have a life, you don't want to be in a root system. You don't want to be rooted. You want to be free. You want to be flowing like water. You don't want something that holds you back from being able to facilitate an action or an idea or a feeling, or something that will only allow you that feeling until you have that thing. People do this in all aspects of life, and all I'm here to say is let's be cautious and let's be aware. Because when we're aware of what I just said, that's the starting point. It's that awareness. That's the ego. It's the self-awareness. Somebody asked, why do elites worship an owl? Well, the owl comes back to Moneta, and Moneta has to deal with money. And this is also tied to Juno. And this is another divine feminine concept within I'm going to try to break this down for everyone just to be very simple, but let's just say the connection to the owl and why you see it on the dollar bill is because the owl is watching over everything at the nighttime. So it's a watcher. And that symbolism gets tied back to Moneta and Juno, and that has everything to do with money and the monetary system. Moneta, monetary. So that's one of the connections regarding that. Some people, because of the work of Alex Jones, they believe that it has a connection to Moloch, but it doesn't. But that's just a side note. I always recommend people, by the way, like if you want to learn about some stuff, maybe don't take don't take anything at face value from what you first heard. Like go study your mythologies, because when you get into the mythologies, you could actually unlock a lot of these truths. It'll all start to connect because it's all tied to the language, the words. Like I just showed you before with Moneta. And maybe I could just quickly go on like a YouTube. I said YouTube. I meant to say Google. Also, while we have a moment, I'm just sending everyone a lot of love. I appreciate all of you. Will they just give me can I just get a normal? There it is. Bada bing, bada boom. This is going to be another connection right here. Minerva. She's given symbolism of an owl as well. There's so many birds, though, when you start to cross-reference between Greco-Roman and then Babylonian, Sumerian, everything is going to start mixing and matching, and you're just going to have to kind of do your best to craft it all together because it's a lot to remember. The Owl of Athena. The Watcher of the Dark. Owls are also beautiful creatures. But all of this stuff, it all comes back to Moneta, Juno. Oh my God, is there an ice cream truck passing by? What the fuck? Holy shit. I haven't heard an ice cream truck in like fucking forever. It's like an ice cream truck with like somebody playing like super subwoofer, like art hip hop. All right, let's get off of this. So yeah, when it comes to the owl, I wouldn't go to the Moloch concept. I would go a little bit deeper into what I was just mentioning before, as well as Minerva, and then anything tied back to Canaanite, Babylonian, etc. through those three connections, which are all going to meld together anyways. Jay Martinez, sending you lots of love. Oh, this is a good comment. So we're going to build off of this one. Somebody says, I would say wisdom comes through learning, which is external. You become wiser based on previous experiences or maybe previous mistakes or watching the mistakes of others. So I'm going to respond back to what you just said. They started it out with saying, I would say wisdom comes through learning. I will say that wisdom actually comes through unlearning. And I'll leave it at that. We were never sent here to learn. We didn't choose to learn. That's not what this is about. We chose to have this moment. We chose to remember thyself. The learning, just filling up the head with a lot of data, it's okay. If people want to believe that that is what they're here to do, I am 100% okay with that truth. But for me, I noticed that everything that I've had to do and the work that was done was unlearning, was wiping away all the nonsense that I was being taught. And when I cleaned that slate of all the learning that I did in my life, I unlocked wisdom. Somebody asks, how many times have you taken mushrooms and what was your most profound experience? I've spoken about this quite a bit, actually. I've done them a bunch of times. I mean, I really can't even remember how many times, but that's irrelevant. What I've noticed is there's something about taking like 5 grams or more, that really is a separate experience than less than 5. You know, there's like a weird cutoff where like after 6 grams or more, you start to get like bodily, you don't want to be in the body anymore. It's like, it's annoying to be in a body. So it starts to hurt your digestive system. It starts to hurt like your eyes just water, your nose, like everything about the physical sensation starts to become just too much. And, but my most profound experience was a whole day. Like it was just this whole 8-hour moment. And essentially, I probably said it a couple times, so I'll quickly move through it. But I was listening to this album by Omar Rodriguez Lopez, and it was called Weekly Mansions. It's an incredible album. And while I was listening to that, I got to the very end of the album, and I just felt overjoyed with this feeling of like gratitude and acceptance. And earlier in that experience, I lost the feeling of time. And when I felt time dissolving and like crystallizing, that was really troubling. That was like, I could tell the ego was inflating so much in that moment. And I had no control over the ego becoming inflated. I was wanting to control because I was losing time. So that was a huge takeaway, to just stop being so controlling and to let go. And when I let go and I allowed the time to just be irrelevant for me, because you know, if some of you have gotten into like really deep trips, you feel like you might not come back and you want to come back. That is you showing yourself how weak you actually are. Because so many people, they think they're so like such hot shit, you know, where they're like, oh, I'm enlightened, I'm aware, I know things. It's like, you don't know shit because you've never experienced anything. You don't know what it feels like to have nothing, because your version of nothing is dumb, irrelevant bullshit. You know? We could get spicy tonight if you guys would like. When you lose identity and you lose the connection to what self is, and you start to actually have this overinflated ego that's coming in to try to save the day and bring you back into this physical nonsense that you attempted to escape. That's why you guys have heard me say time and time again, I don't get why so many people are trying to like escape the matrix or escape the simulation, or you talk like you want to do that, but then when you get there and you taste it, it's too bitter for you. You get there and the flames are too hot. You're walking on charcoal and you're being a bitch about it. You're soft. You talk like you're hot shit. But then when you feel time dissolving on a cellular level, you start kicking and screaming and saying, I want to go back. These people that do DMT, that do the toad, that's their first thing. They're like, I was strapped to a rocket, and when I started leaving Earth, I started wanting to come back down. Like, we're here to talk the truth. We're here to expose. We're here to be naked. And that was my experience with that, and with a lot of people I've spoke with. And if people can't admit that, then they're not going to take away that beautiful moment of watching yourself struggle to want to be a human in a human body with the name you have and the age you have and the place you're living. Because when you travel into that spirit realm and you really feel what it feels like, it is like being in a place that is so alien where your skin just doesn't even feel like it belongs on your body. And if you don't relate to what I'm saying right now, that is okay. I'm not telling you to go out right now and take 8 grams of mushrooms. I'm not advising this. It is something that I worked my way up to. And when I got there, I walked away with the most profound, beautiful thing ever, which was gratitude and joy for just being I am. And when that was all said and done, I listened to a song on a Sunday service called, it's like Everything We Need or something. It's a song by Kanye West, Sunday Service. It's not him. It's like it's like a group of choir singers. And the chorus, they just keep saying over and over again, we have everything we need. And that mantra is a beautiful mantra, to just be able to sit in a place and say, we have everything we need. Say it in your head, and doesn't it just feel good to just say and admit that we have everything we need? And then I walked outside as the trip was kind of subsiding, and I went out into Mother Nature, and I just looked at everything. Felt new. Everything felt new again. It was like the trees looked more beautiful. The flowers looked more beautiful. The birds, like everything was just so beautiful. And it was this beauty that I was so happy to have. And when I questioned myself, when I was done, I walked for like 3 hours after that. And then I got back home and I said to myself, when I was going through hell, why was I so scared? Why was I so worried? Why was I so cautious of letting go? Why did I do that? And then when I went outside and I saw the beauty that surrounded me, and I remember that I had everything I needed, when I aligned with that feeling, I said that was the lesson. The lesson was, I'm not fucking done here yet. Like, I have work to do. This is the beginning of my life. This was my reset. I hit the hard reset button. And now I'm looking at light through a new frequency. And life became light, and light became love. And that was where I really started to kind of allow all the things, because I watched a very sincere weakness in myself. Oh, and by the way, when that was all over, I went to work the next day, and I didn't relate to anything. Nothing mattered to me. Nothing. People were talking about Donald Trump. People were talking about like their gas prices, and I was just sitting there looking at them. You know when you talk to a dog and the dog like tilts its head a little bit, like to the side, just looking at you, being like, you stupid human. Why are you so worried? Why are you so worried, human? And I was doing that to people all day. I was just tilting my head in awe. Like, wow, this is what they care about. This is what matters to them. And there was no superiority. I felt I did not feel better than, because the day before I was so soft in that moment that I didn't want to let go of that feeling of losing my identity or not being able to come back to what I was before that experience. I was super humble, literally could not relate to anything or anyone. Nothing mattered the way that it used to matter. I almost felt like I died and I was reborn, and I was just looking at reality from a whole new lens. And then that really shaped a lot of me letting go of learning, me letting go of filling my head with data and information, and actually realizing that I could unlock a lot of truth from within just by speaking and actually looking at the words that writing down what you say and breaking down words, like the etymology. You can start to see all the code that's hidden in the language we speak And the language we speak is coming from somewhere else. And we're using it as a way of communicating. There's so many layers between us and the real us. So when we wipe all of that away and we unlearn and we actually are living in a feeling of acceptance and gratitude for this present moment, it's divine. It has a power to it and a new set of sensations that bring vitality and life force back into you. A feeling that you were lacking because you weren't able to remember that you yourself can give yourself that feeling. You don't need a girlfriend or a child or a fucking job promotion or to make an extra $10 an hour with a promotion. None of that will make you have bliss. None of that will give you bliss until you decide to allow it. When you want to control it, it will be whatever the fuck your mind wants it to be. Your mind is the bird cage. Your mind is the prison. The simulation or the matrix isn't the prison. You are the matrix. When you allow, you could make these realizations. And that's where you could tap into an energy field where you will start bringing in people into your reality who align with your vibrational frequency. That's the true power of manifestation. Got a super chat from Ja. I like that name. Says, any thoughts on male pattern baldness? I refuse to believe it's natural, not some form of dis-ease. Cures, remedies, solutions. I really value your wisdom on health and the body. So believe it or not, a lot of the reason why men go bald is because they've been cutting their hair their whole life. They've been shaving off their antennas. I haven't had a haircut in over going on a decade now. So my hair is longer than most females. And it's amazing, actually, most places that I go, because if I leave my hair down, I don't even leave my hair down anymore because people bother me about it. But with that being said, a lot of people believe that these are sorts of things that are passed down in genetics, and they have to deal with a multitude of things. But one of the number one things that I could say is just repeatedly cutting your hair. The more you cut your hair, you're destroying your crown chakra, you're destroying your toroidal field and its ability, its full ability. And we could get into, wrapping your hair in a bun and all that, but that's not even as important to your question. High levels of exogenous calcium will absolutely destroy your bones. So that means animal products is the number one reason why people lose their hair and have brittle bones, brittle teeth, have gray hair too young in life. It's predominantly dairy from cows. This is not a mammal that is designed to be having its milk consumed by a human. And that's why it destroys our body. The actual profile of lipids, amino acids, phytonutrients, etc., for each mammal is designed to take its newborn through the weaning process for that specific mammal, meaning a human should be consuming its human mother's milk until it's weaned off. And that is done. You should not be consuming any more milk from any other mammal. But obviously, the world doesn't practice this. So that's one of the number one thing would be stop cutting your hair. Number two would be cut out all the exogenous excessive calcium that you're getting, because the exogenous calcium that you're getting from this either be supplementation, which you guys probably know how I feel about that. You're basically just consuming crushed up rocks and they're inorganic minerals and they're being passed through the urine and they're damaging the organs. Then you have it through your foods, and if you're getting it from mammalian milk that's not designed for your species, it doesn't even make sense. You're going to destroy your body. You're actually going to be stealing the calcium from the organism. I'll say it like that. We could call it the body, but you're stealing calcium from the organism. And then the other one would be hydration. You want to be hydrated. The body is a water system. So when you lack hydration, interstitial hydration, you're actually going to start to watch all of the physicality of your body decline. And another thing you're going to see is skin rashes and acne and skin disorders. That's all the same too. You can tell someone's health by looking at their hair, their skin, and their eyes. That is a way you could tell someone's health. So hopefully that helps. Stop cutting your hair. And much love. I appreciate you. Wolves don't cut their hair. Keep your antennas. Jordan Neal with the super chat. I appreciate you. Says underground cities around like crazy near Big Bend. Really? That's super interesting. I mean, also, I've traveled through a lot of Europe, and Europe's underground system is insane. I mean, wow. Naples, Italy, their underground is expansive. It's amazing. France, Paris, specifically Paris, insane. Like, they have a more extensive underground tunnel system than what they have going on above ground. But what's going on above ground is so sophisticated. It's like that city was built on a motherboard. You can tell that Paris, New York City, the city of London, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Los Angeles, etc. Like, they're all just a computer grid for a technology. So yeah, those deep underground military bases are more expansive below ground than any military activity that is going on above ground. So what you see military doing above ground, just multiply that by 5, and you're probably still inaccurate. It could be somewhere 10 times, 15 times more. The amount of tunneling, it's just crazy. It's really mind-blowing stuff. Mr. Jansen says, know thyself, know thy enemy, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. The only enemy, though, is yourself. That is the only boss. I think the Matrix movie does a very good job at teaching this. Also, for those of you that are into music, which I'm a musician, I'm really into all types of music. But you know the band The Smiths? It's funny how the band The Smiths, their lead singer Morrissey, pretty much made all of their songs talking about how much he dislikes the NPCs. And then he called the band The Smiths. Think about that. Janina, much love over to Mississippi. Oh, somebody made a great point, and this might resonate with some of you. And also, Stefan AU, sending you lots of love, brother. I appreciate you. But let's get to this one thing, because it seems like addiction and kratom keep being brought up tonight. So let's expound a little bit more on this. Wireless Plum says, I have a friend who used kratom to quit hard opioids. Seems to work for him. So any of you guys that have been around in the wolf pack now for at least a year. You remember we had a lot of deep discussions about addiction and how I would always tell people regarding addiction, the first thing I say is if you're ready to move off of one type of thing that you're addicted to, I want you right now to tell yourself and get prepared for the thing you're about to replace it with. It's like when I tell people about investing and people come to me, they pay me for, consultation call or whatever's going on where I'm hired to help people specifically with money. And they say, Jordan, I have $50,000. What should I do with it? And I say, I want you to make a fire in your backyard, or I want you to start your fireplace, or turn on your stove. And they say, what are you talking about? And I say, I want you to take that $50,000 and I want you to hold it over the flame. I want you to hold it over that fireplace. And they're like, are you serious? Are you ready to have that $50,000 burned to ashes? How long do you want to hold it over that fire? Can you wait 5 years? And if they say, yeah, I could do that, then I say, okay, we're ready to use this $50,000. But if it burns or your hand gets too hot while you're holding it over that fire, remember what we talked about. If you're ready to really do this thing called investing, it's going to be very similar to holding your hand with the cash in it over fire for a long time, an unbearable amount of time, actually. And you're going to, the patient take from the impatient with zero effort. That is investing. Anyone who wants to learn about investing, just record the last 30 seconds or whatever, and you just got gold. That's all it is. If the flame gets too hot and you want to let go and let it burn, or you want to burn your own hand, that's on you. The one who perseveres through that pain, through that anguish, through that boring time period, because investing for me, remember, I was very early on. I would say that the market works in cycles of boredom, fear, and very sharp moments of euphoria. It's very quickly euphoric, then it's very noticeably scary and fearful, and then it becomes boring. And the ones who love the boredom are real investors. The ones who show up during the euphoria are the multitude of retail, and the ones who get shaken out in the fear are the ones that are gamblers who are just here for a quick buck. They're not investing. They're gambling. They're going to the fire, looking at the fire and saying, I don't want to put my money in that fire. I'm too scared. If that's how quickly you're getting scared, then you're not a wolf. You're a bull. You're a bear. The bull has to deal with the matador. So, addiction is just a process of letting something become your identity. You don't exist. You don't exist. The thing is your identity. This can be your job. This could be your net worth. This could be your family name, your bloodline. It could be your accolades. It could be kratom. It could be heroin. It could be McDonald's. It could be whatever you identify as over who you are. That's your addiction. And if you're here to get rid of an addiction, just remind yourself that you're going to be replacing that thing with another thing. You once believed in Ball Earth because NASA created and designed that belief system. Then you were stuck in belief systems, so you moved over to Flat Earth cult. And then in the Flat Earth cult, you found some new truth, and then you moved over to the next cult, and you just kept going from one cult or one addiction to the next addiction. And during the whole process, you forgot who you were because you were never worried about you. You were worried about some nonsense going on outside of you, and the naming system that came along with it, and the people that came along with it that agreed with you. And every time you were in a new cult and someone disagreed with you, your ego became inflated and you wanted to fight them. because that's the god of war in all of us. When you let go of all of that bullshit and you just recognize that your addiction is about to be replaced by another addiction, that is where you can start to overcome whatever it is that is holding this hierarchy in your reality of identity. What I'm trying to say is that everything you do is okay. It's okay. There is no judgment. The reason you're fearing so many things is because you're worried about the judgment. You're worried about just accepting yourself. So you aren't self. You had the opioid addiction, now you moved on to the kratom, and you have that new addiction. And that comes along with its list of pros and cons, and you could put it on the teeter-totter or the scales and say that this one thing was better than the other thing, but where are you? Where are you? You're stuck there between duality. You're stuck there between the left and the right, the up and the down. You're stuck. You're in quicksand. Half of your body is in belief, the other half is ego, and self and awareness are completely just floating in the wind. All I'm here to say is that it is okay. I allow you to do what you do. I have no judgment. But when you look yourself in the mirror and you finally see what's going on, you're going to notice that you're just handing off one thing for the next thing. And what progress did you truthfully make? It's like a baby not wanting to give up its mother's breast. But you're a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old, or better yet, you could be doing it on death's door. And I know this is spicy. I know this is hard for people to digest. I get it. I know being spoken to like this, like it carves out like this place that like very few people want to carve out. But that's my purpose. My purpose is to give you the ghost chili. But fuck, when you swallow that ghost chili and then you realize that it's not even that spicy, that with your heart, you can just douse those flames instantly and remember who you are and allow self, then you no longer worry about any fear or any judgment or any of that stuff. You no longer let those things control you. You no longer let them conquer you. Your solutions are within. There's a reason why the word solution has the word soul in it. You are a soul. And trust me, we are all happy for whoever is here who has overcome a specific thing that was holding a lot of control over their reality. My father was a crack addict. So I know this personally. I know this type of person. And one of my greatest moments in life, like I shouldn't call it that. One of the moments where I really unlocked a substantial amount of light was when I no longer had any negative feelings towards my father for being a drug addict. I let go of that and I said, you know what? I understand. I used to understand. I fought fucking hard to overstand, and then now I understand. And in that, I could finally let go of that judgment. I could let go of all those trials and tribulations. I could let go of his self-hatred. I started seeing him as a reflection of me. And I saw addiction in myself. The way that I channeled that addiction was just it manifested itself in a different incarnation. But I am not better than him. You're not better than a dog or a horse, or Elon Musk isn't better than you. The same thing goes with the homeless people out in a tent city somewhere. You're not better than them. You are them. And if you can't see a little bit of them in you, then you're fucking lying to yourself. I just got over lying to myself. And of course, that's difficult. That's a hard reality to accept. Khalida, I appreciate you, sending you lots of love, says, what do you think planes run on? I am curious. Well, flying at the altitude that they fly, it's most likely free energy. The ether supplies that. And remember, gravity is a hoax. Gravity is a theory. There's no such thing as gravity. Once you start studying the ionosphere, you start to learn a lot about the noble gases and how this inner Earth's atmosphere actually operates. The ether. I'm just going to look through a couple questions real quick. So yeah, there's no gravity, it's density. That's all there is. Just different levels of density. I appreciate 500 people up in here, sending you all lots of love. It's a spicy stream tonight, but with a B-U-T-T. I'm just having fun. Bonnie says, does money really grow on trees? Asking for a friend. Yes. Money does grow on trees. Your lungs are trees, and every breath in and breath out you take, you're taking in etheric energy, and then that is where your breath work is, and that is how you speak. Your diaphragm and your vocal cords and all of that, is coming back to respiration. And money is just energy. It's currency. And all money in this world is the byproduct of a system of allowing energy into a vessel, just like you allow air into your vessel. So yes, money does grow on trees. Kaz Yamamoto says, my last client was canceled, but I was so happy that she canceled. I could be on WatersAbove live stream. I hope everyone's doing good. Much love to the Wolf family. I appreciate you. So people keep asking about Moloch. So let's just go over to Moloch. And as you can see, it is the bull. It's the Taurus, Canaanite bull god. Has to deal with child sacrifice and gifts. So, okay, I'm going to get off of this, but I just wanted to show you the picture that we're getting for Moloch. It's not the owl. The symbology is never an owl, okay? I just laid that to rest a little bit earlier ago. That was tied to Juno, Moneta, and Minerva. Specifically Hellenic connection to Athens, Athena, and just Greek mythology. Just go into Greek mythology and look a little bit deeper into the owl and owl symbology. But that's mostly what it's connected to regarding the tie back to the apex predator, the elite, the ones who are the stewards of this matrix. Now that we got that out of the way, the connection with Moloch actually goes deep back to a bear and the Taurus field. But have you guys, I think I made it what was it, last week's live stream thumbnail? I made it the movie Midsummer, the May Queen. That's a great movie, but you know in that movie when they sacrifice the main character and they put him in a bear suit and then light him on fire? That is a sacrifice to Moloch, okay? So yes, it also deals with children, but it's the gifts of Baal. Somebody asks, do you think Freemasons are Satanists? Satanism is very exoteric. Freemasonry has a lot of exoteric. So when we start getting into the esoteric, you would never see these kind of ideas collaborate with each other. Satanism is just like Christianity. It is given to the masses to create belief systems and to think that one thing is better and one thing is worse, or one thing is good and the other thing is evil. But that's never how it works, because that is what the apex predator designed it as such, so that people would keep falling for duality. Freemasons are just a brotherhood, and when you start getting into it at a level that is more esoteric, you're going to start to see that it's about a bloodline. And you would just have to kind of catch up a little bit more of the story on the Templars and the Vikings and the runic Jews, who are actually the Vikings, and some people call them the Khazars or Khazarian. And at the end of the day, all it really ties back to is the Bolshevik Revolution, the Bolsheviks, and the practicing Talmudic Jews. So this is all being held together in through these secret societies at a deeper level through bloodlines. So whom is part of the bloodline gets access to the realm. They don't need to use money. They don't need to use magic. They use the people believing in them having power. Satanism is just low-level nonsense to give to uneducated people to believe that there's some nefarious shit going on with Anton LaVey, and it's just given to you because that's what they need to do. Look here, don't look there. It's a classic smoke and mirrors job. Jason W. Lewis, sending you a lot of love. I appreciate you, and thank you for the super chat. He says, 45 years and recently diagnosed with ADHD. I am taking stimulants. Would you share any alternative solutions? Success to all of you. So your attention was probably discombobulated from you attempting to multitask, and especially the multitasking between your thumbs and your eyes. And a lot of the time, that's what gets people into having, a lack of focus, or the ability to take a focused action, because their mind is in 5 places at once, and they don't really know how to just settle down and work on one thing at a time. So one of the things that I could say, Jason, that could be very helpful for people that are going through any trouble with attention, and also, I don't, and this isn't to be negative or to say anything about your specific situation, but I don't believe in anything doctors do. Period. When they diagnose you, that's another way of saying that they spell casted you, and now they've given you a title to something, and once they've done that, that's going to enter your mind, And your mind is a complex protocol of algorithms that are going to trigger off in ways that create belief systems. And in that new belief system of what they've diagnosed you with, that could hold a lot of dominion over you. So just be careful, like, with that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying, brother? Like, get rid of the diagnosis, get rid of the title ADHD. Like, it's spell casting. Okay? Get rid of the stimulants too. And the alternative solution would be, what do you love to do? Something you love to do that you're passionate about, whatever it is. Like for me, it's playing guitar. When I play guitar, I have no ability to have my attention in 5 different places because I'm really passionate about it. It's a way that I channel a lot of energy, creative energy. Find something that gives you a feeling of a creative outlet, not a consuming activity. Most people, their mind is in a bunch of places when they're consuming. When they're truthfully creative, they unlock this ability that is profound. They become supernatural. They can do things that they never thought they could do. They could create they summon ideas from places that they never knew existed. They have no idea where the influence of those ideas came from, because that's etheric energy. When you're consuming stuff, though, it's like why I tell a lot of people who listen to these live streams, like, it's way better to just probably put in some headphones, lay down, chill. If you're listening to this live stream and you're working on 3 different things and looking at your Instagram and doing all that, that's fine. Like, I would never tell you what to do. But that is what the mind programming desires you to do. And you're going to not get any utility out of that behavior. One other thing I would say, Jason, is try to do some activity and not think about what's to come. Don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about yesterday. Don't think about what you ate earlier in the morning. Don't think about what you have to do tomorrow. Even if you have to wake up early for work, even if you need to get an oil change or fill up your gas tank or whatever, disregard all that shit. It's irrelevant. Whatever the next activity you do, even if it's something like making a bowl of cereal or toast, be there in that moment. I want you to watch the toast turning brown. It sounds silly, but what we do, and this is where you guys are going to take away something profound, when we interact with machines like a toaster, we have an expectation. We go, okay, I know if I set the toaster to 5, it's going to get it like just crispy enough, but it's not going to burn it. And then if I put it in, I walk away because I've developed this kind of program. I have an expectation now, right? And when it doesn't work out, let's just say we go back and it burns. Now we get mad and frustrated and we're like, fuck. We've allowed technology to replace attention. So what I want you to do is do stupid little mundane tasks, but just be present and observe them. When you talk with people, observe them. Go make something to eat, but don't watch TV while you're doing it. Don't sit there listening to music while you do it. Don't do anything. Just do the thing you're doing. You're going to become one with the activity. It's going to become a focused action. But so many of us, we wake up, we have to go to work, so we turn on the television because we want to know what happened in the news, and then we get the phone out, we're looking at TikTok, and then the kids are getting ready, the kids are screaming, you have to make them breakfast, there's fucking 30 things going on, your mind is in 50 places, and you have to go to a place in the next 30 minutes. None of that has to do with this very moment. And if you keep doing that over and over 365 days a year, multiplied by decades and decades and decades, you're going to no longer be present in anything you do. Everything is going to be about the next thing. That life is not living. That's an existence. And if you keep doing that existentialism will reduce all of the purpose you have because there'll be no bliss in anything you're doing. When you want to take a vacation in 2 weeks, all you're going to be thinking about is the vacation in 2 weeks. And then when you get there at the vacation, you're going to be thinking about going home. Your mind is always on the next thing. We need attention mastery. That's what this world can thrive from at this very moment. That's why the first chapter of the expansion mastermind is going to be attention mastery after the introduction. Because when we get back the utility of our moment, of this now, this presence, we're going to be able to take away and extrapolate every piece of vitality from it. You're going to be able to walk into a group of NPCs and feel a lack of judgment. You're going to be able to take away something from it. Whether it's, you observing and just seeing how the human behavior is, or it's you observing yourself and seeing how you were thinking about them. Becoming an observer, I feel, is a very, very difficult task for most, because we don't have any grip over our attention. Our attention is all over. Somebody said they saw the movie Holy Mountain last week. Said, bro, WTF, weirdest movie I've ever seen. Good. It's a piece of art. Art is weird. Art is beautiful. Sarah Lynn, love you so much. Don't do a dry fast while you're breastfeeding. Sorry if that's random for you guys, but Sarah was very nice and said some nice things, and then she asked about thoughts on fasting while breastfeeding. Don't do a water fast, don't do a dry fast, don't do any fasts except Shivambu. But if you don't want to do Shiv, then don't fast. Or do alternate day fasting. Like maybe, because this is a 9-month process, right? So you have a lot of time. There'd be nothing wrong with taking a day to do a dry fast and then give it a month and then do one every month, or do a juice fast, like 48-hour juice fast every month. That's nothing. The baby is living off your waters. The baby is not living off of your food. The baby is living off of your waters. I'll say that again. The woman's body is a distiller. Women are distillers. They distill the waters. And that's why they're perfect. The human body is the mind. We aren't prisoners. We're just too addicted to being the mind. The guy who made the Holy Mountain movie, Alejandro Jodorowsky, is definitely in the club. If you watch any of his movies, the symbolism just shows everything. He knows a lot of the esoteric knowledge that you would need to be around people who have the knowledge. The books are hidden. That's how deep it is. Thank you, D Vortex, for sharing a super chat. I believe I answered it. I appreciate you, though. Somebody asked about Matt M. Sending you lots of love, brother. Appreciate you. He says, apricot oil, I've heard helps your hair. Any tips, Jordan? No. Your body makes its own oil, which it expels through the scalp. Let your body create its own oil. Your skin creates its own oil. Your body creates its own cholesterol. One moment. Diogen, sending you lots of love. I believe they were responding to someone else, but anyways, whenever I see any negative comments, I just sending you a virtual hug. So, what were we talking about? We're talking about hair. Let me remind myself really quickly. Oh, yeah. Hormone D. So, had some people last week talking about vitamin D and supplementing with vitamin D. So, there's no such thing as vitamin D. It is a hormonal reaction that happens when the sunlight interacts with the pupil, the iris of your eye, with no covering, meaning directly into the eye. And this creates a hormonal reaction, releases a sterol that will affect the biggest organ of your body, which is your epidermis, your skin. There is no such thing as vitamin D. It is not a vitamin. It is a hormonal reaction. And that reaction happens when sunlight goes into the eyeball. Not sunlight that passes through sunglasses or eye contact lenses, just pure sunlight that goes into the eye. And I'm not talking about sun gazing, by the way. Like, the way light works is very, very beautiful. It refracts off of all of its surfaces. So just by going outside when it's light out and not wearing sunglasses and allowing your eyes to naturally just get used to the level, the UV rays, etc., and you'll be fine. You don't actually need skin exposure to the sun. You do not. You can allow that, but you really need to be careful about what you eat. Because if you do not eat the proper foods, what comes out of your body when you don't eat the proper foods, which evacuates through the skin, because the skin is the last layer of, exit point when your lymphatic system is completely clogged, which most people are dealing with that, sadly. I know this might be complicated, but the long and short of it is so many people think that they need to be sun tanning to be healthy. No. You just need to go outside, take those fucking sunglasses off, stop putting suntan lotion on your skin. You're essentially applying skin cancer to yourself. Never put oil on your skin, ever, on your hair, on your nothing. Especially if it interacts with sunlight. It will damage the skin. And your skin is your largest organ, and your skin operates from what's within. That's how it heals. It heals from what you consume. And the healing process occurs from being hydrated and not having a backed up, damaged lymphatic system. So when the lymphatic system is backed up and lymph cannot evacuate through the kidneys and be filtered through the kidneys, it will spill out through the skin, and you will get things like psoriasis, skin rashes, eczema, acne, boils, warts, all sorts of stuff. I mean, pretty much any skin tags, whatever you could think of that has to deal with the skin. But yeah, I would definitely not put oil on the scalp. Your body creates its own oils. Somebody mentioned something about men going bald because of testosterone. Yes, but the testosterone, again, being damaged from the improper balance of hormones within the organism. So when you're consuming exogenous hormones, which a lot of people do through their food because they're eating products that have been given the additives of those hormones, and I'm not talking about soy, I'm not talking about tofu. It's any processed foods pretty much are being either added dirt. When you see any minerals that are added to foods, like they're called fortified foods, that's crushed up dirt, crushed up rocks, basically. That's what those exogenous minerals are. But we know that they're putting hormones in all meat products, all animal products. I mean, it's obvious. Exogenous hormones, by the way, we're not even talking about the natural one that the body will go through at the stage of the death. So when the animal goes through the process of being taken, when its soul is being taken from it, at that moment, the adrenaline is going through all the glands. The whole glandular system is reacting to this. But those people out there that are saying, oh, Hillary Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein eat adrenal glands and drink adrenochrome, and you don't think that's in your cheeseburger? Wake up. The moment you cattle prod a bolt into the skull of a cow, the adrenaline just shoots through the bloodstream. It's in every little crevice of its muscle. The muscle tissue is penetrated with all of that adrenaline. And that is what gets turned into what people call food. I don't call it food. People do. Humans do. Somebody asked a question about why is it important for to grow your hair. So there's well, first of all, look back into the past. You look at the chief, you look at the people you look at any natives or aborigine, they weren't cutting their hair. And they were tying feathers to their hair. They were tying specific beads to their hair. And then you have locks, which weren't just Jamaicans, wasn't just Ethiopians. It was all over the realm. Even Pakistani and Indian from India had locked hair. And this is your body's antennas. It's an extension of your nervous system. So they did a thing in the military where they actually took a Native American tribe, and they shaved their heads, and they lost a lot of their tracking abilities. They lost a lot of their abilities to actually be able to locate and hear things moving through forests and to be able to find their enemy at a distance. So it increases your awareness. It's almost like when you cut your hair, you attenuate and lower the ability of your nervous system, or at least one aspect of your nervous system. But the quickest way to sum it up, it is almost like your antennas. You cut off the cat's whiskers, you start to have imbalance. I have no desire to look up anything about a primal diet. The human species has food choice. We've spoken about this before, and this will be the last thing we say about food tonight, because I don't even care to talk about food. The human body isn't even designed for food. It's designed as a water system. So if anyone wants to talk about food, you're starting off on the wrong point to begin with. I understand that people have a sensation of liking to masticate and liking to chew up food. You desire such, but that's not how the human organism was designed. And if you're unaware of this, it might take you some time, do some soul searching. But with that being said, any diet, any labeled diet is wrong. It has the word die in it. I'm here to live. The human is a species that has food choice, meaning we get to select anything we want to eat. We get to design the thing we would like to eat at the most extreme levels. We're able to take potatoes and turn the potato into a milkshake. You could take a potato and make potato starch to thicken things. You could do the craziest shit with foods. We're the only animal that has food choice. And until that becomes recognized by an individual, you cannot talk with that individual about food because they have a traumatic connection to food because they're addicted to it. You are what you eat. So when you eat, that's all you know. When you give your body a break from eating, you actually unlock the inner knowing. The time that it takes for a mammal to wean off of its mother's milk is irrelevant. Some creatures are going to take longer times than others. It's all good. Doesn't really matter. I appreciate you guys. So much love in this chat. Multiverse Speaks says, I really value you as a person, WatersAbove. I went through the same thing with some family members. I'm not sure what you're referencing, but I'm glad that you resonate, and I'm really happy that you're here with us tonight. Nas, I appreciate you showing up. It's been a while. It's nice to see you in here with us. Susie Gemini, I appreciate you. Nas says, no one is better than anyone else. Everyone is unique. And I love that because I always tell people, I have a lot of people that come to me and what they say is they feel like they're not going to be good enough. Like they lack this belief in self. And because they don't believe in themselves, they struggle. And I always remind them, you were here to leave your unique imprint. That is all. And what I want everyone to attempt to do while they're here in this physical reality is just be you. Because when you are 100% ruthlessly yourself and you're channeling and everything is manifesting in your vision, that will leave the most beautiful imprint. It's like no snowflake ever falls, like they're all unique. So you're here to leave that unique imprint. Okay, somebody asked about if I contacted them on Twitter. No, I don't have Twitter or Instagram or WhatsApp or Telegram or I don't use any of that. I only use my website, WatersAboveCrypto.com. I use my Patreon, patreon.com/WatersAbove. Again, shout out to the Mastermind community over on Patreon. I appreciate all of you guys. So much love. But the Patreon is connected to a private Discord, and that is the only way to contact me is through those channels, through either the Patreon, my official website, or I will comment on my YouTube videos. You'll know it's me because my name is highlighted. So whenever you see Waters Above Crypto and it's the highlighted name, that is my official YouTube channel. I'm getting away from using my email because I just can't keep up with the emails, and it's I hope everyone, who has sent me emails, I could get back to all of you. I'm really trying my best. I really love, all the beautiful things that people say, even if it's just something like a quick, words of gratitude or telling me about my Mastermind course or whatever. I really love any feedback, but it's just getting overwhelming for me with my channel growing. And that's why I'm taking all this time on Friday I chip away my week to have this moment on Friday where I could talk with everyone. And then I take client calls. I book and reserve calls that people purchase. And then as well, I do one-on-one coaching. So I'm just trying my best as a, while I'm hosting this body. But I don't use Twitter. I don't use any of that. It's too much, man. It's not me. Like, I'm not really a big fan of all these social media platforms. And that's not me saying that you guys should not use them. I'm just speaking for myself. Like, I'm one of those beings that I'm very focused in my action. I like to get rid of distractions, and I personally have been getting away from multitasking. Multitasking, I think, has damaged our abilities, our superpower. When you become focused on the thing that you're doing in this present moment, you can do it at your best, 100%. So I rather give all of my attention and my energy to the exact thing that I'm doing with whatever I'm doing. And this allows me to really, dial in. So whenever I'm responding to Patreon messages, I turn off all the external distractions and I get to reply to somebody, with a real, heartfelt, thorough, genuine response. And that's the way I roll. That's the way I like to be. Jay Martinez says, does Moloch identify as they, them? Oh, that's too funny, man. It's a she, he. I'm just moving through some comments. Okay, so I think some people got kicked out of this chat a little bit earlier because of some issue that happened with the live stream, but it looks like 500 people are in here now, so I believe it's working. Damien says, Jordan, I've been following your work for a year now. Wow, I appreciate you. Thank you for being with us for so long. He says, and you help me a lot in connecting to my higher self. Damien, you are higher self. You are higher self. You always were. You just remembered you were. Darius, I appreciate your super chat. You said, is it possible to heal yourself after having a kidney and pancreas transplant? Well, your kidney is one of your body's important, very, very vital and important organs. And when you're using someone else's, and then the pancreas, we probably have some issues with creating your own insulin and dealing with any glucose you consume, or just the process of any sugar, exogenous sugar entering the body besides fructose. When it's converted finally into the glucose that's going to be used for the liver, for glycogen or anything as such, you're probably going to have some issues with your blood. So, when you're using someone else's organs that aren't yours, it's going to be a different ball game compared to someone who's just dealing with the ones that they were born with. But it's possible to heal anything. But if you've had the kidney and pancreas transplant, what are you attempting to heal now? So Darius, I tried to give some information, but I just don't, the question's a little vague. But when it comes to healing, heal thyself, it's all about simplicity. It's about getting out of your mind and about allowing your body to just be. And that requires several forms of fasting. It could be fasting from light exposure. It could be unnatural light. It could be fasting from talking. It could be fasting from dealing with the world that surrounds us, just society, like taking a little vacation for self, you know? It doesn't have to be all about just not eating food or not drinking water. I mean, those things absolutely do help heal the vessel. But when you're with your specific question about healing after having a kidney and pancreas transplant, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what you're going through, bud. Do you have bad skin issues? Are you diabetic? What else is going on, you know? But healing thyself has to do with simplicity, which means doing as little as possible. And whatever you decide to consume that's a whole food, make it as simple as possible. So this is another thing that I don't like when people talk about diet, and why I moved past talking about diet is because people are like, I'm eating healthy, I'm eating a salad, and then their salad has 20 things in it. In nature, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't have a salad with 20 different things. It's too difficult for the body to digest. If you're eating a salad with a tahini dressing and nuts and seeds and dried fruit and 4 different lettuces and cooked, tomato, your body doesn't really understand what you're doing to it. So simplicity is key to allowing the body's digestive system to do what it was designed to do, which is work with waters. And when it cannot work with waters, it will need to try its best to turn it into waters. And I know that might be complicated and hard to understand for some, but welcome. Stephanie, sending you lots of love. Perron, sending you lots of love. It's beautiful. Love this chat tonight. Somebody asked me my thoughts on veganism. Again, it's another belief. It's another belief system. It's another cult. Like, it's the best way of consuming and chewing, masticating whole foods. I'll put it like that. Not consuming animal products or adrenochrome, as I would just like to quickly sum it up as. You're essentially at the best form of the consumption of food that you need to chew and swallow and mix with saliva and do this intensive digestive process to then have your gut microbiota, deal with it. And I mean, it's just a lot of extra work. And there's a lot of people that are, they go vegan and then they're eating Beyond Meat burgers, and the burgers that are fake now even bleed. It's like, what was the point? So because I say the things I say, people very quickly, they're like, you're a vegan. It's like, no, I'm not. I know how the body was designed. It's a water system. Last time I checked, vegan brownies aren't a liquid. They're a highly processed food, and you like to eat sugar, and that's fine. Like, I'm okay with people doing that. But the isms and the groupthink is what I've just left. I left that behind, and I became higher self. I became aware. And now that I know, I'm not relying on diets. I know how to heal. But if you want to eat and chew food and do all of that, veganism is optimal. Way more optimal than omnivore, way more optimal than carnivore, way more optimal than vegetarian, where you're drinking milk, and the people who eat fish and shit, Think about the ocean. It's like legitimately a sewer. The ocean is the sewer system of our realm. And the fish that people are catching, that they're consuming, are at the top layer of the sewer, where everything that's heavy rises. All the heavy shit rises. And that's where all those fish, they're breathing that in. Anyways, I know we mentioned not talking about foods, but I am not a fan of picking sides in this matrix. And eat how you want to eat. You know, everyone should do that. But if you want to heal, you're going to have to be simple. Lollipop, it's okay. We'll give you a big hug. Someone mentioned that they're an S. I'm not even gonna go. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm gonna allow that one. I'm gonna allow that. That is the way to go tonight. I love doctors, though. I love doctors who get their degrees. The Mozzie Kid, I appreciate your super chat. It says, thank you, Jordan. As always, you opened my eyes to something I never knew. And what was that? What did you remember? I would love to know. Oh, Multiverse Speaks says, I was responding based on your shift in consciousness concerning your father. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we need to look ourselves in the mirror sometimes and not, be so in hate all day to all the people that we believe, harmed us or took advantage of us or weren't good enough or didn't treat us well enough. Because a lot of the time, that's just a projection of what we desired. And if you have expectations, it's like we were talking about before when I was saying about toasting the bread. It's like when people toast the bread and they have this particular setting that they put it on, they realize that they're allowing this technology to have this expectation connected to this outcome. The process they've been completely stripped from. And when we're stripping ourselves from everything that we interact with, it becomes, we start to get confused about what's going on here. To avoid that confusion, we have to be present. We have to be present. We have to be there. We have to be aware. So when I had those fearful projections about my father, of course I was never able to accept and have gratitude and see the good to come out of all of that because I was in my ego. When I started to realize that he's a person who has this history, this life, these trials and tribulations, these people that I've never met, these experiences that I've never experienced, I started to see it as this vast array of my own ignorance, and I was just personally unhappy with his position in my reality, as if I had to be the sun in his solar system. That's not how this works. That realization helped. Mr. Bandwagon, I appreciate you. Sending you lots of love. Oh no, somebody said, do NPCs have souls? I want to answer this, but I feel like okay. NPCs are an extension of us. They are like the air that surrounds us. They're just existing like a tree or like a butterfly or the car that's parked outside of your house. They are there as props in your game. You're not better than them. They're just props in your game. Because it doesn't even matter about the soul or no soul thing. It matters about what you're going to do about it. Visualize this experience as you are the sun. You're going to have some cosmic celestial luminaries that surround you that have a lot of power and impact on your experience. I might be one of those. And that's beautiful. And then there's going to be asteroids and just dust and just rocks floating around aimlessly, unaware. That's what the NPCs are. They're just like rocks hovering around. And I know this is spacey talk and space is make-believe, but my point here is just envision it as such. And I'm about to say something that's going to be very controversial, but the NPCs are your energy source. They're your gasoline. Don't let them take your gasoline from you. When you let an NPC get the best of you, when you start arguing with them and you start actually trying to beat them and be better than them, see, this is the thing, okay, guys? When you argue and get into that level with people, when you become the god of war, when you decide to do that, you're now showing that person that they could control you. They became your master. If you want to be the master, all you do is observe them. Don't react. You do not need to react to an NPC. You can just nod your head and keep it going. Don't let them take your energy. Use them for energy. Please listen to what I'm saying from the heart. Don't be in your mind right now, because people are going to hear this and they're going to be like wigging out, like short-circuiting. The NPCs are your gateway into remembering what you really are. You need to allow them. Stop trying to control them. Stop judging them. Realize what they are and move on from that. Think of them as a squirrel. They're just moving up and down, up and down, up and down, back to the tree, get an acorn, bury it in the ground, up and down the tree all day. That's what they're doing. That's their purpose. They're a squirrel. Sometimes a squirrel will get rambunctious and jump up your leg, and then you could play with it a little bit if you want. You could say, hey, squirrel, you look cute. And then eventually the squirrel has to go back into Mother Nature and you have to go back to your life. That's all the NPCs are. And what's problematic is those that are illumined, they go through this process of judging the NPCs every day of their life. And as they do this, this really slows down your ability to be lighter. When you become light, when you lose that heavy material quality. It feels so incredible. You go walk around smiling at the NPCs instead of walking around and looking at them and going, oh, that idiot's wearing a mask, or that idiot is doing this or that. When you do that all day, when everything is just you looking at other people and just judging, what are you doing? What utility does that have for you? What have you done? So I ask people that quite a bit. When I hear people talking shit, especially people who talk shit about other content creators or people that are doing something with this life. When you're doing something here in this realm, even if it's something like a YouTube channel and you have 5 subscribers. I had 5 subscribers at one time, but I made videos as if I had 50,000 because I'm a magician. And every time someone left a bad comment, I got better and better and better and better at not reacting. I just observed. And I observed and I watched my quality of life become something. And their quality of life was a commenter on YouTube videos. A Karen. They became a Karen to me. And when I see a comment where somebody says love and they're sharing gratitude and they're saying that they got something out of this experience and they're saying hi to other people in the comment section and being community based, that is my people. That is my language. Everything else is irrelevant. It's the squirrel running up the tree, up and down, up and down, up and down. The NPC is just an energy source. Your people, the ones that align with your vibrational frequency, those people are designed for your code. They're designed for this experience to be shared with you. Pay attention to them. They have something to teach you. They have something to unlock within you. That's what I should say. I take back what I just said a moment ago. They're not teaching you shit. They have something to unlock within you. Remember what love is. Love is a very large spectrum. When you love someone, it's the same person that makes you the most frustrated. So when you're getting value out of someone in your life, like a mentor, a coach, or even a partner, whatever it might be, your growth comes from the pain of you accepting that this person has an awareness that you seek. But they're not better than you. You have to remind yourself of that, because when you're in your student phase, when you're in the early stages of your remembering, of your knowing, it's going to get really easy to assume that this person knows more than me or this person is more enlightened than me. That is bullshit. There is no enlightenment being more or less than. It just is. It's simple. Nothing is complicated. There's no tier system to enlightenment. Somebody's saying that I added reverb to my... Nope, I'm still using the same microphone. I'm doing the same setup that I did last time. But I maybe just because of where I'm sitting right now, it's like adding a little bit of a delay effect. Sorry if the audio quality isn't good, guys. I'm trying my best. Sorry if it's not sounding so great for you. Somebody said, profit now. I appreciate your super chat. You said, I backtested the moon phase trading strategy as a video on my channel with bad results. Well, that's really interesting. It's very basic. The new moon is when we hit microcycle tops, and full moons is when we have corrections. If you put in a short around the last new moon and you took out the short on the day of the full moon, you would have made money. So perhaps you didn't follow the trading strategy properly, but it's a very easy strategy. And I really appreciate your super chat. And I'm sorry if there's any confusion, but it's as basic as we hit microcycle bottoms around full moons, typically 5 days before to 5 days after. And this doesn't include eclipses. Eclipses are special, right? But when we're talking about new moons, it's 5 days before up to 5 days after. You have microcycle tops. So people that follow my work that don't have any courses of mine have literally just used that basic, foundation of a full moon and a new moon with literally almost no indicators, and they've profited handsomely from trading this market long and short. I myself am not really huge on trading at this current moment because I am too busy to be trading. But just basics, if you were to have shorted at the start of the last new moon and closed the short out on the 14th of June, which was the day of the full moon, you would have gotten a really insane trade off of a basic strategy. So, it's unfortunate you had bad results, but the proof is in the moon cycle. It was just a bad trade that you made. David Wallachok, I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for showing up. Susie Gemini, I appreciate you. Seeker66, you could always catch up later on tomorrow. Appreciate you. How's everyone's day going? I'm probably going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes because I have to get going on some things that I have upcoming on my schedule. Yeah, I believe I'm going to be on an interview with Coach JV sometime next week on 3T Warrior Academy. And then the following week, I'm going to be doing the Good Morning Crypto Show, also on 3T's channel. So we'll be finishing off the month with some collaborations. And then I'm sure for the month of July, I'll get back together with I think I'll be doing something with Logan soon. Probably next week. Me and Logan will be connecting. So that'll be awesome. If any of you have yet to watch any of the podcasts that me and Logan have done over at Decode Your Reality, definitely go check out his channel. Go subscribe. He's incredible. Really excited to get together with him. Maybe you guys could leave us a little bit of some buzzwords. Excuse me real quick. You could leave us some buzzwords to consider, because you know how the last one we did was influencing, and then we had one that was talking about deception versus influence. I believe we did one called esoteric crypto. That was probably the first. So he did back-to-back ones with Jason over at Archaics for simulation. And me and Logan have talked a little bit about stuff like that, since me and him have both done podcasts with Jason. So that'll be cool to come together and share some wisdom about the simulation and what we've spoken about with the Phoenix phenomenon. And I also have that Phoenix phenomenon video coming out soon. I just have to find some extra time to pull that off. But anyways, everyone, I appreciate you. I'm going to be moving on. I hope you all had a beautiful Friday night. If you're joining late, go back and watch the replay of this. The replay will be live on YouTube for probably till sometime tomorrow morning. And then you guys know that I archive all of the live streams over on Patreon. We do that for the health of the channel. That's not the main reason behind Patreon anyway. We do the Discord and the Red Pill podcasts. So That's the true value. But I like to keep those live streams archived for everyone as an added bonus. I don't like leaving them on my channel, mostly because of people getting offended about stuff we talk about and reporting and all that stuff. So don't blame YouTube, blame the NPCs. But we've been doing amazing. We've been doing amazing here in this community throughout all of this energy in the market. So I'm excited to be able to do this next Red Pill podcast. I haven't really been doing too much deep dives into the charts, just been letting the market do what it does. But that June 15th date, that ended up being pretty special. So okay, I'm gonna let this next couple comments come in. Just make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything. Okay. Beautiful. No, I was just joking around before about the NPCs. Just having a little fun. All right, family. I appreciate every single one of you. I'm going to hop off. I'm wishing you all a beautiful weekend ahead, and I'll be catching the rest of you over on the Mastermind Community Red Pill podcast this weekend. And then I'll have a video coming out later next week. Be doing a couple of interviews. So we'll be back in the circuit soon. Much love.